Assalamualaikum and a very good day I bid to madam and students. So it causes and impacts of climate change in Malaysia. So I'm Muhammad Abdi bin Jeffrey and there's Abdul Hafiz, Ali Shuhada, there's Amir and Maykhalla. So for my part, I will actually be doing the introduction. So what exactly is climate change? So climate change usually refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns, and these shifts can be natural, such as volcanic eruptions and changes in the sun's activity. But since the 18th century, basically human activities such as the burning of fossil fuels and like coal, gas, and oil have been the main cause of climate change. And this is from the United Nations article from 2019. So basically, climate change is generally defined as significant variation of average weather conditions, where conditions could be wetter, could be drier, could be warmer over the course of several decades. And the long-term trend differentiates climate change from natural weather changes. Alright, so what we have found out is basically that the Earth is about 1.1 degrees Celsius warmer than it was in the past 2 centuries. So this amount and the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has risen by 50%. So the rise of temperature must de-escalate if we want to avoid the worst effects of climate change. And climate scientists also say that global warming needs to be kept to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2100. Basically 900 more years from now, 980. So basically the general populace usually think climate change as this basically means higher temperature, but temperature rise is only the start of it. The Earth is a system where everything is connected, and a small change in one component of the system could basically cause detrimental effects. So some of these effects are basically severe fires, extreme droughts, melting polar ice caps, water scarcity, rising sea levels, catastrophic storms, and declining biodiversity. Like, we can definitely see this in like the Earth nowadays, and no one is immune to these effects. Alright, so some of the points that we will be saying, such as the cause and effects of climate change in Malaysia, being the unstable weather pattern, change of land use, human activities, and its effect towards the agricultural production, changing land surface, carbon sink, as well as their consequential effects on human health, underscoring the urgent need for comprehensive strategies and interventions to mitigate detrimental impacts of climate change. So that's all for my part, which is the introduction to the statement. I'll hand it over to the next person.
In Malaysia, climate change is making its presence felt through alarming manifestations. In this presentation, we will explore the causes of climate change as shown in the poster. Generally speaking, unstable weather patterns are one of the causes because surge in extreme weather events are becoming increasingly evident. This is mainly because of the country experiences severe flooding during the monsoon seasons, which it is resulting in overflowing rivers and waterlogged areas as well as inundated low-lying regions. So according to past incidents, the floods in southern peninsular Malaysia in 2006 and 2007 left a devastating impact. As you can see, I want to remind here that Malaysia has witnessed a rise in the frequency of intense wind and thunderstorm events, while rising temperatures linked to climate change have been associated with a higher incidence of malaria cases. Researchers also indicates that even a mere 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature increase by 2050 could lead to 15% of surge in malaria cases. Additionally, heavy rainfall contributes to increased precipitation and intrusion of saline water into inland areas, exacerbating flooding and triggering landslides. I want to here highlight that the country's coastal regions are also grappling with the extreme challenges posed by rising sea levels influenced by local climate conditions and topography. Despite ongoing efforts to understand and track these changes, there are uncertainties persist in predicting future extreme weather events, especially by El Nino and La Nina oscillations.
Next is change of land use. Change of land use is an action of decreasing forest areas and distribution usage of land, especially for other purposes. mostly taken actions from deforestation, population, mining, also agricultural purposes. These activities have been committed and planned by humans due to an increase in population. This is highly led by the high demand by local residents itself to fit in the living standards has been set, which is associated with energy consumption activities. For example, daily household necessities, industrial sources, and absence of greenery and vegetation in certain areas. It is their plan to improve the living standards made a contribution towards the human needs, which is a negative effect will be resulted because, however, this plan has led to consequences towards the mother nature. Planning of improving life causes unnatural movements towards the land that would also lead to unnatural circulation of land, usage, and functionality. In conclusion, the land restructure or forming without exact and cautious actions taken will result in unnatural land usage, also lead to loss of vegetation and natural ecosystem. Human actions toward urbanization planning has been associating with changes in natural movement on Earth and the Earth's natural surface. These have led to distortion in natural circulation in ecosystems such as air, temperature, and functionality. All of those consequences developed by these actions have taken a worldwide effect since nature, which is supposed to be the carbon container, has instead been a carbon source affecting the environment. All of the destructions led by humans without realizing how their ways of improving their living standards by using the Earth's surface will take away the nature's actual functionality to circulate, providing the oxygen to the living things.
Next, the primary cause of global warming, according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, is human activity. As a consequence of our continuously rising industrial and transportation needs, our atmosphere is being flooded with greenhouse gases. Rice cultivating and the farming of livestock are two agricultural practices that contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. Apart from that, methane is also released from organic waste that is degrading as a result of improper waste management, which includes landfilling. Malaysia's greenhouse gas emissions are largely due to methane emission from landfill. Moreover, the issue is made worse by insufficient waste management facilities, such as inadequate infrastructure for decomposition and recycling. When organic waste is not adequately separated from other garbage and handled, it ends up in landfill, where it decomposes anaerobically, producing more methane emission. The next largest source of greenhouse gas emission is industrial activity, especially that which is connected to production and manufacturing process. These emissions are produced by a variety of sources during industrial processes and have a big impact on the environment, including climate change and global warming. Last but not least, to generate power, Malaysia mainly relies on fossil fuel like coal and natural gas. The combustion of this fuel releases carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. The energy sector is a significant contributor to Malaysia's greenhouse gas emissions.
So now let's move on to the next segment, which is effects of climate change and its detrimental effects on agricultural production, according to our topic, particularly in Malaysia. In that case, for the first effect, one sector significantly impacted is rice cultivation. This is because while the higher atmospheric carbon dioxide, which is CO2 levels, may appear advantageous initially, when it combines with rising temperatures, it actually impairs photosynthesis and grain filling processes. So basically explaining about these grain filling processes, it is unfortunate combinations that it shortens the reproductive pace of paddy cultivars and reduces flowering time, posing a threat to food security, especially for impoverished households along the east coast of peninsular Malaysia. A striking example that I would like to press here during I went through the articles is that the heavy rainfall and flooding during the northeast monsoon season causing extensive structural damage and landslides in regions like Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang, and Perak. Additionally, the fisheries sector is greatly affected with changing weather patterns. Obviously, it is to reducing fishing days and increasing the risks. It is crucial to promptly mitigate the adverse impacts of climate change to safeguard food security and protect critical infrastructure to ensure the livelihood stability nationwide. By addressing climate change effects, we can foster a resilient, sustainable future for Malaysia.
Next is changing land surface and carbon sink. Human activities usually lead to unnatural land surfaces and carbon sinks. Urban temperature involves the urban planning made by human affects its surrounding along with its temperature. In fact, greeneries and trees share a natural actions and function of providing oxygen for human and other living things. However, decreasing natural reservation will also lead to reduce to the amount of oxygen that should be provided. The natural function of trees have changes due to the nature destruction itself into reducing ability to capture carbon dioxide, which cause two effects to the greenhouse and the atmosphere. The greeneries have lost its ability of being a carbon container. Research has indicates that there will be a substantial rise in both frequency and intensity of heat waves. Annual deforestation is approximately around 1.3 kilometers square per decade, with highest percentage used for agricultural purposes, followed by construction and urbanization planning. These are mostly led by the human activities and basic necessities for life, related also to the cost of deforestation, and also will lead to necessities basic for the human actions toward urbanization planning associated with changes in natural earth surface, which mostly lead to distortion and in natural ecosystem and functionality.
Next, one of the main consequences of climate change is it affects human health. There are several direct or indirect ways that climate change affects human health. Negative health effects from climate change are anticipated. People experience the effects of climate change indirectly as it impacts various of aspects in their life, including water, air, food availability and quality, ecosystem, agriculture, and the economy. Additionally, they directly encounter climate change through the alteration of weather patterns, leading to more frequent and severe extreme events. Climate change directly affects humans through the occurrence of extreme weather events such as fires, flood, and heat wave. Indirectly, climate change influences specific environmental factors. As an example, elevated temperatures and humidity can lead to heat stress, posing environmental hazard and occupational hazard that can lead to long-term health issues and even death as a result. Furthermore, being employed in a hot environment increase the likelihood of health problem and adversely affect workers' ability to perform their tasks. It also heightens the risk of accident and, if not addressed, can lead to heat exhaustion and even heat stroke. Climate change significantly impacts environmental, occupational, and personal safety, leaving both indoor and outdoor workers susceptible to the consequence of heat stroke. Temperature fluctuation will also enhance the sustainability of breeding environments for disease-carrying vector, potentially resulting in a rise in vector-borne illnesses like malaria and dengue fever. The direct influence of climate change on vector distribution has implications for the prevalence of diseases such as dengue, malaria, and many more. In short, the direct consequence of climate change may involve fatalities caused by heat stress or respiratory illnesses due to air pollution.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion climate change in Malaysia, it's all about how the weather changing and how affects our country in different ways. Climate change in Malaysia happen because the weather patterns become unpredictable. This means that things like rain and sunshine don't happen when we expect. It affects everything around us, like plants, animals, and people. Many things in Malaysia are affected by climate change. Some examples are growing rice, using land, storing a carbon dioxide, building cities using energy, and farming. These things are important for our country's economy and the way we live. Climate change has consequences that reach far and wide. It doesn't just change the weather and temperature. It also affects how we grow food, how much carbon dioxide we release, how hot cities get, and even the money we spend. It's like throwing stone into a pond. The effect spread out everywhere. To deal with the problem caused by climate change and make sure we have a good future, Malaysians need to take action. We need to plan carefully and find ways to think sustainability. That means protecting our farm, reducing the gases that causes climate change, and adapting to the change happening around us. It's not just up to one person, but make a difference. We all need to work together by making choice that help the environment, like using less energy or planting trees. We can make a big impact. If Malaysia takes this step, we can fight climate change and keep our environment safely. But it will make everyone's help. We need to be committed to doing these things in a way that keeps our planet healthy. So remember, climate change is something we need to take seriously, but understand how it affects us, and doing things in sustainable way, we can make a better future for ourselves and the world. Let's work together to make it happen. Thank you.